Hi, I'm Melanie, and welcome to my bariatric journey. Today, I had a wonderful conversation with Teresa Symthe, the Bariatric Guru. We talked about bariatric surgery, her journey, and mindset, and what it means to have happiness. I hope you enjoy it. All right, I am here with Teresa Symthe, the Bariatric Guru. Hi, Teresa, how are you today?
Hi, Melanie. I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Thanks for asking.
Great.
Thank you so much for being here with us and joining me on my bariatric journey.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me.
So, I wanted to start out with talking about your bariatric journey a little bit. Tell us about where you started, how, your ups and downs a little bit.
Sure. I'd love to tell you about it. So, I actually had gastric bypass surgery in 2007. And at the time, I think I was around 400 pounds, but my surgeon didn't have a scale that could weigh me. So, I know I was at least 400 pounds, but I don't know how much more than that I ever weighed. So I know I lost at least 220 pounds. And for 15 years now, I've maintained a 140-pound weight loss. So that's more than my best friend even weighs. And I've able to keep that off all these years. So I'm super proud of myself for that. But it definitely has not come without challenges. I've been through all of the challenges that most bariatric patients would face, like hair loss, weight regain, depression. It was so bad that I was suicidal. I actually put myself in the hospital for a whole month away from my kids because that's how bad I got. So, public service announcement, if that is you, please don't wait until it gets as bad as me. I felt such shame in asking for help that I didn't even want to go on medication. So, if that is you, there is no shame in it. It is chemicals in your brain. It is not you. It's nothing to do with you. It, so please go ask for help because it was the hardest time in my life. And that's why I had to help myself. I had to pull myself out of it because there really there really wasn't any help for me. And so I really had to use all of my training as a yoga and meditation instructor. And also I've been in the health and wellness industry for decades. I owned a wellness clinic, I've been a massage therapist. So I've been in the space a long time, and I went back for additional training. I went for yoga nidra training. I traveled all the way to India to get more training,
Wow.
just so that I could help myself and pull myself out of that and come through the challenges and realize that, you know what? Hell yeah. I lost 220 pounds and I maintained a 140-pound weight loss. Not a lot of people can say that.
No,
And so I choose to look at that rather than look at, oh, I regained how many pounds? Who cares? How much have I lost? I choose to look at that, right? And the same with happiness. Happiness is a choice, right? All of our emotions are a choice. So
yeah,
that's my journey in kind of a nutshell. It's been, it's definitely had its ups and downs, but I wouldn't change anything. I'm just so happy with my life.
that's wonderful, Teresa. I am super excited because I know that you are a bariatric guru. So tell me a little bit about that and what that means to you.
Well, what it means to me is a holistic approach to the bariatric journey because there's not one thing that got you to be overweight. I can guarantee you that. I can guarantee it's not just what you were eating, it's not just not exercising, and it's not just your mindset. It's really a holistic problem, and it needs a holistic solution, right?
Mhm.
You have to look at all of it. And it's so much more complicated after you have bariatric surgery. I remember in Canada right now, there's a lot of surgeries getting canceled, right? And so many people right now are so upset because I remember what that's like. I got surgery in 2007. And in Canada, we only do about 6,000 surgeries in a year total in all of the country. And so there's not many. The wait is really long to get a surgery here. You have to jump through a lot of hoops. And I still remember all of that. I remember how hard that was. And so really it's a holistic approach to, right from the beginning of your journey all the way to you're like me, 15 years post-op, and really working on everything. And I love to especially focus on the mindset, because your doctor and your surgeon and your dietitians and your nutritionist, they'll tell you what you need to do. But the thing is, most of us know what we need to do, right?
Absolutely.
Right? You're told what
Yeah,
you need to do.
totally.
You also knew what you needed to do before, right? And
Yes,
so
absolutely.
exactly. And so you know what you need to do, but you're not doing it. And
Mhm.
so I love to dig deep with my clients and figure out what is really going on, what is really holding them back from their goal, which is ultimately to reach their goal weight and ultimately to be happy. Because no matter, I've worked with clients pre-op and post-op from all over the world. And I'll tell you one thing, it doesn't matter what goal they're working on, whether it's to reach their goal weight or lose the regain or whatever it is that they're working on, the end result that they want is to be happy,
Yes,
right? That's all
absolutely.
anybody wants. And your happiness isn't going to come from the size of your jeans. It's not going to come from there.
No.
And you're going to end up back in the same place if you don't deal with the reasons why you got to that place in the first place, right? And so
Absolutely.
I love to work through those things with my clients.
That's wonderful. So you talked about mindset. Tell me a little bit about what mindset is in regards to bariatric surgery. Like, what do you mean getting in the right mindset?
Well, there's so many levels to your mindset, and especially more difficult for a bariatric patient. There's usually so many underlying issues. Mindset with bariatrics can be so much deeper than with somebody who hasn't been through the surgery. There's so many more layers to go through. And so you have to really be willing to do the work, like I can't tell you how many hours I've spent crying, but I'm so grateful now that I went through that and I've done all that work, because when you come out on the other side, I mean, life is just roses, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. When you find the correct mindset that is right for you, because everybody is so different, and, it's not a cookie cutter solution. The surgery is not cookie cutter. It's all about getting right with yourself.
Exactly. And so many bariatric patients, it pains me because they're always comparing themselves to somebody else they see. And what's interesting was when I first had surgery, I wasn't even on Facebook. Like, I don't even know if Facebook was a thing back in 2007. So I really had no support. I had nowhere to look for things. And I remember thinking, oh my God, the scale's not moving. What am I doing? And I would just work out harder and harder and harder. And it was totally unrealistic to work out that many hours in a day, what I was doing, right? And so yeah, it's so complicated for a bariatric patient. There's so many more layers to it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what do you suggest doing to get into the right mindset?
Well, there's a lot of different meditate. If you're into meditation, meditation is excellent. So there's tons of free ones online. I can even send you some links to some really good doctors that have really good ones for self-love, self-compassion. And guess what? You can put those suckers on when you're working, when you're sleeping, when you're anything. Your brain's hearing it, it will sink in and it will help and make a difference. So
Yeah.
that's something you can do that's like super easy to do, right? To me, anyway. Yoga Nidra made a huge, huge impact in my life. And that is very misunderstood. It's almost more like a self hypnosis. And it's really working on rewiring your limiting beliefs. And you can't go to sleep while you're doing it, or you shouldn't. You can, but you shouldn't, for it to work the best. but it is incredible. All you have to do is lay there for 30 to 60 minutes, depending on the one you choose. And you just repeat the same thing to yourself when they tell you to, and otherwise you just listen to them.
Yeah.
So it's really not that hard. And just those little things go a long way in that. And then also, you know, like I love to work with my clients on, you know, taming their inner critic, overcoming self-sabotage, perfectionism, right? And the all or nothing attitude. And then, like I said, with Yoga Nidra, that overcoming the limiting beliefs, like there's so many, you don't even know what you have or what you say to yourself, right?
Right. Absolutely. So tell me, so the first thing you said was something about taming your inner critic. So what is your inner critic and how do you tame it?
So your inner critic is, well, let me see. You could call her bitchy Betsy whenever she comes out. And it's really that negative self-talk that you have, those mean things you say to yourself. So, oh, I don't know if I have the picture of myself in my office right now. I have a picture of myself as a little child. And I have it here always, because if I say, I don't know where it is right now, but if I say something mean to myself, I look at that picture and I say, would I say that to that child? And I think of my granddaughter, who's that age of what I was in that picture, around 8 years old. And I think, would I ever tell my granddaughter that she is too fat or that she doesn't look good? And so, would I ever say that? Would you ever say that to somebody you loved?
Absolutely not.
But we say it to ourselves every single day. And you know what? I bet you don't even know all the mean things you say to yourself or how many mean things you say. It's just playing in the background. Like you don't even know it. So always I say the first step is listening. All you have to do is listen. You don't have to tell it to shut up. You don't have to tell it to do anything. All you have to do is listen. Notice what it's saying, right? And then once you know you're saying it, you have an opportunity to change it, right? And I've gone through this so many different times in my life. I know even when I've gone to Yoga Nidra, when I went to do that training, I mean, I'd already been a yoga instructor for many years. I've gone through all this training. I've been a life coach and a bariatric coach. I've done all this. And even when I went for that training, I remember waking up in the morning and I was brushing my teeth and I said something, I can't even remember what I said, but something really mean. I said to myself, and I thought, holy crap, I can't believe that I said that. And it took me being in that retreat to slow down and listen and say, hey, wait a minute, what are you saying to yourself? Right. And so that's the first thing. You know, why instead of saying I'm fat, why not say I'm beautiful? Because you could say anything you want. You could choose any word you want.
Yeah.
Right.
I like the idea of having positive self mantras or doing affirmations, which really go into changing that mindset that you have in that inner voice. So, you know, really changing the inner voice is so important because that is, like you said, that's the record that plays in your head constantly, even if you're not listening to it. It is always there, just going and going, that little voice.
And she's a real mean bitch too, isn't she? She's horrible. Who wants her? Nobody wants her. Get her out. Get her out.
I'm actually reading a really great book right now. It's actually a journal, but the front of it is all about how to fill out the journal. And the author calls them gremlins.
What is that?
Gremlins?
Gremlins.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's just that's what I have right here sitting next to me.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's a morning and night journal, and it's all about changing your mindset. So
absolutely. And
great.
Like I said, little things, like even if you're not into meditation, why not first notice what you're saying and change it. And you could put up some kind of positive thing on your mirror for the morning, something you want to say to yourself first thing when you get up. I always think it's really important to start your day off with something for you, even if it's only 10 minutes of you getting to sit by yourself and having a coffee, or doing something for you because you deserve it. You are worth it. And I think it's important. And I think it sets up the rest of your day to have a really good day, right? This morning, I'm having such a fantastic day today because we had a really beautiful sunrise here in Canada this morning. And so my husband's on night shift. And so we went for a really early morning sunrise walk and walked about 3 or 4 kilometers before I even got to work. So, you know, it just makes such a big difference in your day when you can start your day off doing something nice for yourself, right? Taking some time for yourself. And another thing that's great for reframing your mindset is vision boards. Have you ever done a vision board?
I actually am in the middle of working on one. I have done
That's
them in the
fantastic.
past. Yeah, I've done them in the past, and I'm working with one woman right now who was looking into getting bariatric surgery and found out that her insurance won't cover it. So right now we're working on water intake.
Excellent.
How important is hydration, right? And
It's everything.
yeah, and so she confessed to me that the only thing that she drank was diet soda and Gatorade.
You know, that's a huge, huge percent of the population.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I got her up to drinking 32 ounces of water in just a few weeks.
Fantastic.
And she gets down on herself sometimes and says, I know I can do better. I only had 8 ounces of water today. And I said, remember, a month ago, it would have been 0 ounces.
But there's so many clues in that sentence. You know, I was just talking to a client today about this, and she said the same sentence. She said, I know I can do better. Well, what is better? Right? What is better? So it's baby steps and not judging ourselves, right? And celebrating the wins. So I like to give this as an analogy to baby steps. If you're going to quit smoking tomorrow, you're going to cut down by 1 cigarette tomorrow. Then the next day you can take away another one if you want. But that's what I mean by baby steps. You don't just say all of a sudden, oh, I'm going to start drinking 64 ounces of water, because guess what? If you do it, it won't last, right?
No, right. Absolutely. And
you know, that's where I come from, the self-love too, is because I sincerely believe that when you feel better about yourself, like I went for a walk this morning, I felt great. Well, guess what? You drink more water, you eat better, you take better care of yourself because you feel better, right? And so I think it's so important to just feel better about yourself and be kind to yourself.
Yes. So we're actually, both of us are working on vision boards this week. So I challenged her to do one, and I realized that it's been a long time since I've done one, and the wall behind my computer is completely empty. So I was thinking it really needs a vision board.
Awesome. That is so fun. You know, my belief came from vision boards. I'll tell you this story. It must have been probably 20 years ago now, when my daughter was very little and she was in gymnastics. And I was sitting there and I was writing out all of my goals and dreams. I was in school for massage therapy, and I was writing out all my goals and dreams, that I wanted to have a clinic in a small town and all of this stuff. And I wrote it all down. I put the paper away, and I'll tell you, I totally forgot I even wrote that out, like totally out of my mind. Years later, found the paper and read it, and it was exactly what I built my life to be. It was exactly what my life was.
That's awesome.
Right? And vision boards work that way. They're not magic, but when you put it out there, you just unconsciously work towards it, I think, more, right? Absolutely. And so I have a vision board in my office, and there's so many things on there. It says, I'm attracting powerful and positive and healthy people into my life. It says, I am able to let go of what does not serve me. It says, you know, all of these positive affirmations, that anytime I need to know, okay, I can just look at that and it makes me feel better.
Yeah, absolutely. Positivity is so important because when you put, like you said, when you put it out there and you put your positivity out there, you're opening yourself to receive the positive. You're opening yourself to, you know, being positive. And that is something incredible because, you know, that that little voice in your head is playing one thing, but when you're putting positive out, you're going to get positive in. It's
Exactly.
um
And you know what? I just made a post about that today about sharing the love, because right now it's what's the date? It's September 2021, and life is crazy and everybody's upset and sad and mad. And you know what? All we need is some more love. Let's just be nice. Nice to ourselves.
absolutely. And love starts with yourself.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
So you did mention that you were going to talk a little bit about self-sabotage.
Yes, I actually did a live training on this today in my Facebook group, part 1 of 3, on how to reach your goal weight, because of course that's what everybody wants, right?
Mhm.
But self-sabotage, I mean, the funniest story I ever heard, it's kind of makes it sound funny. It's not funny, but it sounds funny because it's like I said before, we all know what to do, but we don't do it.
Yep.
And so a client saying, well, I was sitting on the couch eating ice cream while I was watching The Biggest Loser, right? Like,
I can
you know
see
what to
that.
do.
I
You're
can
sitting there watching people on what you need to do. And what are you doing, right? Self-sabotage, self-sabotage. That always, oh, Brene Brown, I think she says it best. I think she says, um, what does she say? When when fear is driving, shame is always riding shotgun. I
Mm,
think that's her quote. When fear is driving, shame is always riding shotgun. And so self-sabotage really comes down to that, comes down to, what are you afraid of? Like I mentioned earlier, you might be afraid of being in a thin body, and maybe you don't even realize that.
yeah.
Maybe it's scary to you to be in a smaller body and to be seen. Like being in a bigger body, sometimes you feel like you can hide and that you're not seen. And so you have to get real about what it is that your fears are and why you're sabotaging yourself, because you know what to do and you're not doing it. And nobody can solve that problem for you. No surgery can solve that problem for you. You need to dig deep and figure it out what it is for you personally, and then face those fears,
Mhm.
right? Because otherwise, when you're stuck in self sabotage, what do you feel? You feel frustrated, you feel ashamed, you feel worthless, you feel defeated. Who the hell wants to feel like that? Nobody, right?
Nobody, nobody
And
at
it's
all.
all based on some silly fear that, I don't know, have you ever faced a fear? And once you face the fear, how good do you feel?
I felt wonderful. I am terribly afraid of heights and I went ziplining.
I've done that too. And I mean, since I've lost weight, right? I've been skiing, I've been zip lining, I've done all these things that I couldn't do when I was 400 pounds, right? But facing the fear, it gives you such a thrill to overcome something, right? It's
Yes,
such a
yes,
thrill. And it's really not that scary, especially when you have support. And so, I mean, I really pride myself on my group at the Bariatric Guru and our private group, Bariatric Mindset Reset, on just being supportive. So holding your hand and holding space for whatever you're going through, because we all go through the same things at different times, it seems. So
absolutely. It's kind of like maybe the same show on a different channel.
exactly, exactly. And so self-sabotage, really, like with all of this mindset work, it all comes down to the same thing, right? Digging deep and figuring out why. Why do I feel that way? Why am I saying that to myself? And then you can change it. You have to know you're doing it, and then you have to figure out your why,
Right.
and then you can do it,
You can make changes.
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about perfectionism, because I know that's a huge problem for me, because I am an all or nothing kind of person. I've got that mentality that, either I'm going to be going 100% or 0% and just completely forget about it and not even.
Perfectionism almost always comes from fear. And your excuse is it has to be perfect. I have to be perfect. But it's always, almost always based on a fear. So again, you have to dig deep, because what is perfect anyway? Like, what is perfect? Am I going to be perfect if I drink 80 ounces of water tomorrow? Does that make me perfect? Like, what's perfect? There's always going to be somebody online that's thinner, that drinks more water, that eats better, that exercises more, that there's always going to be, right? And so don't compare yourself. And there is no perfectionism. Ditch perfectionism, because it's bullshit. It doesn't even exist. It doesn't exist. There is no perfectionism.
It's a concept inside of your mind.
Exactly.
It's, you might be living the perfect life to everybody around you, say, oh, they have such a perfect life. And to yourself, you're always going to strive for more, for better, for the perfectness.
Yeah, exactly. And perfectionism and its all evil sister, all or nothing, will stop your dreams in its tracks every time, because it doesn't exist. And so instead of being perfect, just do your best. So, I see people all the time, it pains my heart, in these groups saying, oh, I'm a failure. I ate something I shouldn't have.
Right.
Are you actually kidding me? You think you failed because you ate something that wasn't on your plan? Get real. That's crazy talk to me. I always say, you're lucky. Now, guess what? You did it. You didn't want to do that. Now you have another opportunity to do what it is you want to do, not what you should to do. I don't like that word should, because I think that's always based on some kind of programming too, right? But what it is you want to do to reach your goals.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely. And I feel like the idea of perfectionism is something that snowballs. That
absolutely.
Once you've thought, oh, I didn't do that right. And then you start thinking, well, this isn't really the way I wanted, and this isn't the way I wanted, and this isn't the way I want it, and this and this and this and this, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And before you know it,
and that's self-sabotage, right?
It goes back to self-sabotage, and that inner voice is then telling you, well, it's because you're worthless, and you're not. Just the simple just the simple act of being makes you worthwhile,
exactly. You're beautiful and perfect, absolutely, just the way you are, the way you are. And so you have to figure out how to love yourself as much as I love you, and then you'll feel great, right? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you look like.
Nope. That, like you said, it doesn't matter what size your jeans are either, as long as you love yourself. And it's hard though for some people that are dealing with health issues. And I think that the bariatric part of this goes back to something my doctor has ingrained in me, and that is, it is a tool. It is a tool, and that's it. It's nothing more than a tool. And like you said, digging deep and getting in the right mindset, that is a tool. And when you put all of this together, it's when you.
And I'll tell you, the mindset stuff is way harder than the food. Because I guarantee, I'll tell you, all my life I've been on a freaking diet. Name a pant size or name a weight, and I'll tell you I've been it. I swear to you, I have been every weight up to probably 425 pounds, and I've been every pant size up to a 6X, I think. And You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's just, it's crazy to me. Your worth is not based on those things. And
No.
it is so holistic, and you have to figure out, you have to be willing to get messy and dig into the reasons, because that's going to give you your inner peace, right?
Right.
And ultimately, when you live authentically from who you truly are, like who you, not what your parents said you should be or anybody else tells you should be. When you start living authentically from you, from your heart, that's where your happiness is going to come
Yeah.
from. I guarantee it. And that's where my happiness comes from. And that's where everybody's. So this happiness thing is something you're striving for. But guess what? There, there is no destination. Happiness is not a destination.
No,
Happiness is a choice, right?
it's the best part. It's the traveling.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
it's a choice. I
life.
can choose to
Yeah.
wake up today and say, well, yesterday I ate something I shouldn't have. So screw it today. I'm already off track. I'm going to do whatever, right? I have that choice. Or I can wake up today and say, oh my gosh, I'm so happy I got to get up again today, and I have another chance to do what I need to do to reach my goal. I have another chance. God gave me another chance. So
That's,
there's always an option, right?
that's
How are you going to look at it? How are you going to frame that?
right. And like you said, there's no shoulds. You shouldn't. You
That all goes back to your
should.
programming. And I've done, I mean, I don't think people really realize when you go for yoga instructor training, like it's deep, deep work, deep personal work. And I tell you, I've done years of it, years. And it's like therapy on steroids. You know what I mean? Because I mean, you're just forced to work on everything. So much comes up inside of you, especially when you're putting your body in poses. There's a lot of tension. There's a lot of um, past memories that are even held in your hips, right? So just doing yoga poses that are continually releasing your hips, you're releasing those emotions. And so guess what? You have to deal with it,
Yeah.
because otherwise you're going to end up, crazy.
Right. It's remarkable how much our body holds as far as emotions, traumas, and your fears and anxieties. They're
Yeah,
held within your body, and part of the bariatric journey needs to be to deal with those, because
to
if you don't
release.
deal with the things that your body is holding, it can't let go, it can't be released, you can't feel that freedom that comes with happiness.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Like I said, happiness is not a destination. You're not going to, all of a sudden, you're not going to be at your goal weight and that's going to make you happy. Trust me, it won't. It won't. I've been there, right? That didn't make me happy at all. That didn't make me happy. What
Right.
made me happy was digging deep and getting rid of all that crap that I was programmed with. I had
That's,
great parents, but they also sat me down at the age of, I think I was 16, literally in the living room. My mom and dad sat me down and said I was too fat to ever get a boyfriend or a husband. Like, how many people were told that? My sisters were so skinny and they were celebrated all the time. But my mom, so my grandma, she was well over 400 pounds, and she died while going to the bathroom in the house. And my mom was just a young girl at the time, and she was home. And my mom told me that she remembered her mom, the paramedics couldn't get her mom out of the house because she was over 400 pounds. And this was back in, like, I don't know, the 30s probably. And so they couldn't get her out of the house. And my mom was completely traumatized by that.
yeah.
And so by her seeing me become overweight, then I think it was bringing up all that trauma for her again. And she didn't want that for me. She was probably afraid I was going to die like her mom did. And so it's not that she was mean or didn't love me or wasn't well meaning, but that's the thing. We're told so many things when we're kids that are well meaning, right?
Yeah.
And really that lasts in your head forever as something totally different than what it was intended to do. Totally
Yeah.
different.
It's all of
So
those
actually,
it's all of those
sorry, go
things
ahead.
that build that inner voice, you know, that those are the things that start seeping in and getting recorded.
Exactly. Exactly. And you don't even know, you don't even realize all the things. Like this is a good exercise I wanted to go through with you on limiting beliefs, on your self-limiting beliefs, because we don't even realize all the ones we have. But I put down 3 that I know that I'm sure everybody's heard. And once I tell you, excuse me, once I tell you them, I'm sure you'll say, "Oh yeah, I know this one, that one." Okay, so limiting belief, finish your plate. There's starving people in the world. Were you ever told that?
I have
Right? Not to
been.
waste the food, not to throw it out. No pain, no gain. Have you ever been told that?
Absolutely.
Money doesn't grow on trees. Have you ever been told that?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. Those are all limiting beliefs, all of them. And you can change that in your head into a positive because that's all holding you back.
Hmm.
So it says, so one question, one of those, like any one of those, say, I love this one, finish your plate, there's starving people in the world, because so many bariatric patients have a hard time. I know even still, I'm 14 years pre-op, I go to a restaurant and still to this day, I get asked if everything's okay because I can only eat, maybe half of what's on there. And then I have to take it home. And I'm still overweight. So of course they're all questioning what the hell she's not eating. You know what I mean? It's like, that's just, but it's a limiting belief. I think, you know what, even if I throw the food away, I would rather have the food in the garbage than I do in my body, causing me heartache and pain, because I don't want that. And so to me, that's how I rationalize, okay, it's okay. Of course, I try never to waste food. I love, leftovers, whatever.
Yeah.
But a side note from that, it's like, all the things we're told. And so which of these phrases were you conditioned to believe? So probably finish your plate. And so do you believe that's actually true? Like, ask yourself, do you believe that's actually true? That by you eating everything on your plate, that's going to help somebody else that's starving?
No.
No.
One thing that I think of is that if I have to scrape a little bit off my plate because I didn't finish my meal, uh, there's nobody that's going to go through my garbage and eat it.
Exactly.
So it's
Yeah,
not, I mean, it's way more important to put forth an effort to helping people rather than hurting yourself with the
exactly.
mindset of helping others.
Exactly. And so when you look at all these phrases, right, like no pain, no gain, I'm sure you can see a way in which they've limited you in your life in some way, right? Like, all, especially as a woman, no pain, no gain, right?
Yeah.
Always. And then in the end, could you see how you could be happier if you changed that tune around so that you change that into a positive instead of a negative, right? Because
Hmm.
there's so many limiting beliefs, and really once you dig down and you figure out what they are, you're like, oh yeah, that's why I feel that way. I remember my mom saying that, or whatever it is. But just noticing it and then letting it go, right?
Yes, releasing it into the universe.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's really not yours. Like, and that's why I became a bariatric coach, because I don't think if you haven't been through bariatric surgery that you get it.
I
Like
agree.
I really don't think you, if a therapist, I don't think anybody can get it unless they've been through it, because there's just so many variables that work into bariatric surgery, right?
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right because I I had support from friends that had the bariatric surgery and their inspiration, their belief in me, their um helping me through the hard times with, telling me what happened to them.
There wasn't even Facebook when I first got my surgery. So I had nowhere to go to say, is this normal? I'm not losing. And I remember how friggin' depressing it was because I'd weigh myself every day. You know what I mean? And then if it didn't move, it's like, oh, and now I totally realize it's like, wait a minute, your body just went through major, major friggin' surgery, like major surgery. And so it needs to adjust, right? Like your body's got to adjust and it's going to do what it needs to do. But I promise if you're following what your surgeon says you should do, that it will move again. So just keep doing what you're doing. And I always recommend to people, it's when you're in a stall or a plateau, it is good to change something up. So, maybe if you're exercising at night, maybe try to go for a walk in the morning or, just try to change something. But I think it's really important for everybody to know that stalls and plateaus are completely normal.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great to base at least some of your journey on non-scale victories, because to me, those were more exciting, right? Yeah. There were so many things like being able to get on an airplane and not ask for a seatbelt extender, or going to somebody's house and not worrying I was going to break the chair, especially if it was outside and there were plastic chairs. There were so many things that I could have looked at and said,
those plastic chairs are scary.
They're friggin' dangerous, right? So, excuse me. So I think it's really important to focus on non-scale victories and be proud of where you are today, and be proud of how far you've come. And all you have to do is just try to do what you need to do tomorrow if you didn't do it today.
Right.
Right? Because focusing on that is never going to serve you, and really the only thing that matters is the present moment. And that's where meditation is great and gives me so much joy, because it gives you at least a few minutes to focus on the present moment, because it's actually the only thing that matters. Yesterday already happened. There's nothing I can do now to change yesterday. Nope. If I overate or whatever, I can't go back to yesterday and take that back. Right. And I can't go to tomorrow and change anything because it hasn't come yet. And I don't know if it ever will come for me. It might not. I might not wake up tomorrow. And so am I going to wait till tomorrow to be happy when I don't even know if I'm going to get it tomorrow? No. Be happy now.
Yeah. Make the choice.
Exactly. And it really is a choice. And I know this bariatric journey is it's really difficult, and it's filled with ups and downs. It is an emotional roller coaster. I get it. I've been doing it for 14 years. And, when I found my happiness and peace is when I stopped basing my self-worth on what that stupid scale says.
Yeah.
I almost never weigh myself. Like, I think I've stayed the same weight for 3 or 4 years, which to me is the biggest non-scale victory I've ever had in my life. Because I'll tell you, I've been a perpetual dieter all my life. I've never stayed the same weight for even a year. Never. Like very often people don't recognize me because I'll fluctuate weight so much, right? Yeah. And if you go onto my page and you look at my pictures, you'll see I look like a completely different person, right? And so basing your success on things that are going great in your life because you've made healthier choices, not because of the way you look,
right?
I think takes a big step in going towards self-compassion and self-love. And I'll for sure send you some links to some free recordings that people can use for Yoga Nidra if you want to check that out. Absolutely. And also there's a doctor / therapist that has some excellent self-compassion meditations that you can listen to. And they're all pretty short. And so, there's a lot of things you can do for free. There's a lot of groups you can join, but ask for help and reach out, because, I got to say, having the support and having people to talk to that actually get it, like nobody gets it. Nobody in my family gets it. Even my husband hears about it all day because I own a company that has to do with it. And he still doesn't get it. They can empathize and they can understand, but it's not the same until you've been through it, right? And
No.
so be easy on yourself and be kind to yourself and show yourself some love and self-respect like you would to your favorite family or friends, right?
It's actually funny when you were talking about the picture of yourself, because right here, this was me as a baby.
Oh, what a
So
sweetheart.
I have my baby picture. My mother made this for me when she was learning how to use Photoshop. And it says
Oh, that
my
is so
sunshine.
sweet.
And
I love that it says my sunshine. That is amazing.
and I put that up on the wall and I see it every day. And now I'm going to look at it and I'm going to say, how would I treat this baby? What would I say to her rather than listening to what is on that record in the back of my head, that I can I can stop the record. It's
I've
more like a
got
tape.
chills. Oh, I've got goosies all over because I'm so excited that you said that to me because it's really made such a huge difference in my life to look at that picture of myself and look in those eyes and say, holy crap, I would never say that to any child. You know, that's so mean. And that is me. Like when I look at the eyes in that picture, I can tell that it's me, right?
Yeah,
You can
that's
tell it's you. And so I think it's a very powerful exercise to get a picture and carry it around with you. And if you're feeling like crap, look at it and say, hey, what would I say to this child? Because I wouldn't say that you're fat, and I wouldn't say you're ugly, and I wouldn't say you're not worth it.
right. It's remarkable when you start changing your mindset, how happy you start realizing that you are, because
Mm-hmm.
happiness kind of creeps up on you sometimes. And sometimes you don't notice that you're happy, because I like to mention the fact that happiness isn't laughing, and it's not,
In
the
your
same
heart.
thing that you get when you're with your friends and you're joking, or you're, hanging out with your girlfriends and you're laughing over coffee and telling old stories, and those things do make you happy, but that isn't happiness.
Exactly. They give you joy and they give you happiness, but that's not happiness.
No.
Happiness truly only comes from inside your heart. And it really only comes when you're being authentic and when you're living the way you want to live, not the way your mother or your father or your brother or your sister or your boss or your husband or your wife or whoever tells you you should be doing. Because you know what you should be doing? You should be doing you. Be you, because that's all anybody wants,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so if you do nothing else for yourself, just be kind to yourself because you really need to lower the stress hormones. With all the stress going on nowadays, find something for you, find 10 minutes for yourself. Don't watch the news. Do something for you, right?
Yes. Something that's simply and purely for yourself. You know,
Something you love to do. Do you love to have a cup of tea? Do you love to have a bath? Do you love to write? Do you love to sing? Do you something for you? I
yeah.
think it's really important. If that's the only thing you do is 5 minutes a day, something for you, but mental health right now, I think talking about it and putting it out in the open right now is probably more important than any time it ever has been in the world. And I know from my personal experience suffering through depression and severe debilitating depression, it it is the hardest thing I ever went through. And I thank God that I reached out for help. And I thank God that I had the skills to help myself as well, right? And especially
Right.
in these times because it's hard. It's really hard to reach out for help right now. So I want everybody to know that's watching that I'm here. I'm at the Bariatric Guru. If you want to follow me, you're always welcome to private message me. Our private group is at Bariatric Mindset Reset. I'll send Melanie the links too, so you can put them up.
Perfect.
And I think having a support system, because we all know that if you're a bariatric patient, very likely don't have everybody in your life that's supporting you, right? Like very
Correct.
often there's judgments from your family or from your coworkers or your friends. And so I think it's really important to find people that have a positive attitude and that will support you in being your best self and your happiest self.
Yes.
Because that's all I want for my clients when I work with them. I don't care what your goal is. I'll work with you on your goal because the bottom line is you just want to be happy, right? That's all
Absolutely.
we all want.
That's
Yeah.
what we all want. So
Yeah.
I'm super happy because I know that you are coming out with something fabulous and I cannot wait.
I am so excited, Melanie. I have actually lots of stuff coming up this week, which I don't know when you're going to put this live. So this will probably be post, but I've been doing a 3-part series this week that's completely free on my page at the Bariatric Guru. And we're talking about reaching your goal weight. And so within that, we're talking about all these mindset things we've been talking about today, giving you tips and tools. And there's been so much activity in the group with people chatting and talking. So it's a nice support. I think people feel like they can be open and honest. And so even if you're watching this after the lives are done, the replays are always in the video section. So you can go back and watch that. And I'm also doing a whole masterclass. Now it's going to be at least an hour. I don't know. It might be more, kind of depends, but at least an hour. It's going to be October 14th at 6 p.m. I'll send you the link for that too, so people can sign up. Excuse me. I haven't talked this much in so long. There's nobody to talk to anymore. Anyway, so limiting beliefs, we're talking all about limiting beliefs. We're going to dig deep into overcoming your limiting beliefs. And so that'll be October 14th at 6 p.m. It's completely free. And then from there, we're going to go into a full 6-week program that will be a paid program, full 6 weeks with bi-weekly group coaching. And it's a beta program. I've just designed it. I'm just going to test it out. So I only have very limited spots. I haven't put anything out there yet, but I know this video is probably going to be posted after. So what we're going to start November 1st for that one. And we're going to go through 6 kind of stages. And so it would be identifying your true desires, going through your limiting beliefs. So we'll dig deeper into that yet again, your identity and your ego, learning to live in the present moment, current time. We talked a little about that, negative patterns and your current mood, and then tools to help you feel better in any movement. So that's going to be a really full 6-week program that I'm hoping with the group coaching and all the participants that, you know, we'll have a really good group and be able to support each other. And so, but definitely sign up for the free class and join me at the Bariatric Guru, because I always have things. Every Thursday I post recipes, and, you know, every Tuesday I do a tiny tip video. So there's always lots happening over at the Bariatric Guru. And of course, you're always welcome to pop in, ask your questions, or shoot me a message. I'm available for private coaching. You can visit my website at thebariatricguru.com. There's lots of information and videos on there too about my story, more about my story. So lots of things going on over on my page too. So
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Teresa, for sharing everything with us. This was a wonderful, wonderful conversation, and I am so glad to have you here with us and that I have met you because you've inspired me.
you've inspired me. I have chills. I just feel fantastic. I'm so glad that I met you and that you came into my life, because I can see this being a lifelong relationship. And, you know, I was just talking to, when I hosted the support group for the bariatric surgeon that I went to. I hosted that in my wellness clinic many years ago. And if you look on my page today, you'll see a very nice comment that somebody left me from 10 years ago. We're still friends. And she left me a very nice comment today. But my point being, on this bariatric journey, I've been fortunate enough to meet some lifelong friends that have meant a lot to me. And I can already tell that you're going to be one of them. We're very like-minded. And I think we'll have a good relationship going forward. So I'm excited to do more work with you, and I'm excited to see how this interview turns out.
I am too. Thank you so much again. And
Thank you.
it was great. I really appreciate it, Teresa.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste. Thanks so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed my interview with Teresa Symthe, the Bariatric Guru. Please check below for the links that we talked about in the interview. And as always, like my video and subscribe above. Thanks so much for watching.